On Cyclone Nation, we are back behind the microphone, and even though it's 100+ degrees outside here in Kansas, Owen, it's football season. How we doing?
I'm doing good. I can't say the same here in Iowa. It hasn't quite. I think we had our hottest days of the year a couple weeks ago, where definitely got up over 100 here, but it was like I don't know, 75, 76 today. So
Ooh,
it was fairly nice out. Went for a little bike ride. And it was beautiful. So doing good though. Can't complain. Second week of fall camp has started, and Jimmy Rogers he's had a lot to say about not just the team
dude,
but the players, the coaching staff. AJ, we're getting some exciting stuff from first year head coach Jimmy Rogers here.
dude, it was like I don't remember a press conference probably since Paul Rhodes that was that energetic, that detailed, that like he gave the whole roster.
Yeah.
Like he didn't leave a single guy out. I don't think. So it was really impressive. I love that man so much. Like every day, my love grows for him just in what he means to Cyclone Nation already. So I'm pumped for him. But today we have finished the previews of the positions. We've done all the offseason nonsense. The final thing to get to, Owen, is it's time to put your money where your mouth is, if necessary. I'm not a betting man myself, but I like to phrase it that way because I feel like I'm one of the only people in America that acts in games like I'm betting on them. Like I'm that invested in college football season. Uh, and that's just regular games, let alone Iowa State games. We are giving our full schedule preview over the next couple of weeks. So we're going 4 games at a time. We're doing the first 4 games tonight. We're doing the next 4 games on Saturday, and we're finishing next Wednesday with our full schedule preview. Do you have? Because this is what I want to know before we get started on. Do you already have all 12 games predicted for Iowa State?
I don't know. I'm honestly like
I don't either.
I haven't looked in depth or anything or done like research or scouting or anything up until these past few days, and that's basically what I'm going to be doing leading up to the season and these podcasts and shows and stuff and whatnot. So this is exciting for me because this is kind of like we're talking about like just the first time we kind of have really gonna take a deep dive into this. Get in depth, in detail, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm hyped for this.
Dude. And that's besides the point of what I think really what tonight is all about. I wore it for a reason. We're predicting the Cyhawk game tonight. And I've hinted a little bit about what my prediction is. And I'm really excited. You kind of did your Phil Steele rant last week or last Saturday.
Last
I'm
two
really
weeks,
excited.
honestly, it feels like every episode he comes up in some way. But we're hopefully
It's
that's
crazy.
over. That's over. We're
I
not
know.
talking
I
about
know.
him anymore.
I feel like there's going to be a moment tonight where I just kind of have my moment with Iowa Hawkeye fans and the Cyhawk rivalry as a whole to just kind of come clean about a bunch of stuff. Now that the Matt Campbell era is all over and we go to the Jimmy Rogers era, I'm excited on it. It is a night of truth telling that
Yeah.
I'm very excited for. So how do you want to do this? Because we got SEMO, we got Iowa, Bowling Green, and Utah.
Yeah.
So the only road game is at Iowa. All other 3 games are at home. Uh, I think we just go one by one. We're gonna give our prediction. If you want to pull up point spreads, you can. I've become more big into point spreads more recently, but I want to hear your full kind of preview of the game. How you think it's gonna go? SEMO, I think, is the only game that we're not really gonna have a lot of info about the opponent, just because they're SEMO. No disrespect intended, but there's not a lot to not a lot to like there. Uh, and then obviously Iowa, Bowling Green, and Utah will have a lot more takes on. How do you see the SEMO game going? Obviously, I would think you'd have Iowa State winning, but how do you see that
Yeah.
that first game going for Iowa State?
Yeah. So before I give my prediction here, I believe the spread is around was 29.5. It might have moved up to 30,
Yeah,
but that was
yeah.
great.
The
And I
projection was
should point
like
out
30.
Iowa State. SEMO is a familiar face in Ames. They played Iowa State in the 2022 season opener. I can't recall what the score was, but they beat the crap out of them. Hunter Deckers, I think it was his first
Oh
career
yeah,
start. So little
yeah.
little throwback there for
And
Iowa State
and
fans.
Jalen Rayner has played SEMO. He played SEMO last year.
Yeah, and they killed him, I believe, at Arkansas. They whooped him. But yeah,
did.
SEMO, SEMO.
Simu.
It's so weird. It sounds like I'm saying like a cartoon, like an animal, like a cartoon animal character. Or
It
something.
sounds like I don't know if you grew up on VeggieTales, but the Cebu's with Larry the Cucumber.
I haven't seen
That's
that,
all I
but
can think of
it's
right
just
now.
such a weird school to say. Southeast Missouri. They went 4-8 last year, coached by Tom Makutzwitz or Makutzowitz. I'm not
His
even sure how
last
to
name
say
is
his
what?
last name. It's
What is?
it's Matukewicz. Makutowicz. I have no idea. I'm sorry
Start the
if I
bucket.
botched that. I don't blame me. I don't know. They
SEMO, as
averaged
soon as you
20
get to the stadium, just start the
averaged
bucket.
23 points a game last year. Their opponents, they gave up 30 points a game. They're a pass heavy team. Looking at their numbers from last year, they passed the ball 2, 3, maybe even 4 times as much as they ran the ball. So a very pass heavy team, and you'll understand why in just a second. Their quarterback, Jax Leatherwood, last year threw for 12 touchdowns, 2
They got
interceptions.
they got some last names, bro. I'll just say that.
I know we're fighting through this some tongue twisters here, but anyway, Jax Leatherwood, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2,000 passing yards, and get this, he is 6'8", 253 pounds.
What?
So they have a monster at quarterback. This
I
this
mean, like
guy this is
Josh
a guy.
Allen reincarnated.
Yeah, this guy, I'm not sure if he can run. I really have no idea. I mean, with him being that big, even if he's slow, I would assume they try and cake some stuff up for the run game. QB draws, QB power, stuff like that. But definitely something. The D line's gonna get tested. They're gonna get tested. We're gonna find out. Can these defensive ends, like Bobby Terrell, Caden Crawford, Blake Hawkins, can they bring this guy? Can they make this guy feel it? All right, because this I mean 6'8", 250 plus. This is not a small quarterback. This is not going to be an easy guy to bring down. So yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on there. But yeah, I don't think that'll play too much of an impact throughout the game. I think early on, that could give the defense some struggles, with his potential running ability and just the fact that he's that big. He can see over the line better. He can make reads really good. And I mean those stats in the games that he played. 12 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. I mean, that's really good. That's really good. So yeah, it'll definitely be interesting with their quarterback. I'm not really sure how many players they returned. I mean, they went 4-8 last year, so not a great team. I definitely expect Iowa State to win this one. My score prediction there was 48-10. I think Iowa State will kick a field goal, score some touchdowns, and it'll be great. The offense will be rolling. I think we could see some special teams touchdowns. Might I say? Cameron Petaway housed the first play of the season for Bowling Green last year. So definitely something to keep your eye on there with Cam Petaway at kick return. If he does play kick return, as Rogers mentioned today in the media conference, him and Floor will both be playing special teams, which we kind of expected. You can't have a Jet Award watch list, a guy in Cam Petaway and a clear potential breakout punt returner in Florida, and not playing special teams. Regardless of where else they're playing, they got to be playing special teams. They got to be returning kicks and punts for Iowa State, and I think we could see them take one to the house in the first game. So 48-10, my prediction for Southeast Missouri.
Wow. I love that you think we're going to put up 48 on them. I mean, I'm skeptical about our offense, but clearly you're not for the first game.
I mean, well, hey, if 10 of those points is coming from special teams, I'm not giving the offense too much leeway here,
fair.
but
That's fair. Well, good on you for doing that due diligence on what the head coach's last name one more time. I'm sorry.
Tom Matukewicz. I think I'm just sounding out the way I'm seeing it.
Dude,
so
I would have never known about any of that. So shout out to top tier. If for no other reason, you got to follow top tier Iowa State and X just for that kind of content. You would have no clue that SEMO's starting quarterback is 6'8", 250 plus.
Dude, that's massive. That's so
not,
big. It's like a basketball player.
My guy Owen.
That's basically Josh Jefferson, their quarterback. But maybe a couple of inches shorter, but it's like a defensive end. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
AJ, what is your prediction here for Southeast Missouri?
Dominique Orange lining up in the backfield.
The
Yeah,
SEMO
no,
fighting Red Hawks.
yeah. Uh, I mean, I think it's gonna be cinema. I think the first game of the Jimmy Rogers era is gonna go very, very well. Yeah, the point spread being 30 was very shocking to me. I don't know if Iowa State will win by 30, considering, I don't know, the most talented team in Iowa State history barely beat UNI. I don't think the first team in the Jimmy Rogers era is going to win by 30 plus. So I love the confidence though. Yeah, I'm super curious to see the offense just as a whole. I want to see them put together drives. I want to see them not sputter at all. I want to see them put this game away early. The spread being 30 points, I don't think they'll win by 30. I think they'll win by multiple touchdowns, like 3+ touchdowns. I don't want to see Jalen Raynor have this, oh boy, like this is a game now. Like I don't want that. If it's a touchdown or less game with SEMO at halftime, I'm not going to be happy. Like this needs to be put away early. Jimmy Rogers has talked a lot about just how intense he is and how much he wants to win. It should be made very clear in the first half of the first game at home in the Jack. People are still going to show up. I mean, if they were showing up for 3-9 Paul Rhodes teams,
I'll be there.
They're going to be right.
Yeah.
Olin, you'll be attending. They're going to show up. They're going to show out.
Yeah.
And if for no other reason alone, play to the standard that Iowa State football has been playing at for the last decade in front of the home crowd.
Well, I should correct you real quick. The standard, I should say real quick, the standard for preseason games is not as good as I think I'd like it to be. And I think
that's fair.
Because I mean, well, you have to look at like Matt Campbell, the first ever game of the Matt Campbell era, lost to UNI.
Yep.
All right, got boat raced by UNI in 2019. Then in 2021, yep. Like this is a thing. Like it preseason, I mean not preseason, non-con, early games, however you want to phrase it, have been a little iffy for Iowa. Even under Matt Campbell, he eventually got the hang of it. He eventually got control, but the standard does need to be raised a little bit with this new era and sustained.
What and that's a very good point. What I was trying to get at is playing in front of the home crowd at the Jack means something to Iowa State fans. It doesn't matter what type of team you have, how good they are, how terrible they are. That means something to people. And teams are scared to come to Ames because of that. It's a very hallowed kind of place for undefeated teams to come to. So I don't want us to play down to our competition is kind of what I'm getting at. I really want to see the defense or the offense. I'm not worried about the defense at all. You said 40-10. I'd be shocked if SEMO scores more than a touchdown. I just would. With how much this defense, with how well the defense is already playing in camp, with all the things that we're hearing, with how the pass rush sounds like it's going to be, and just different videos that we've seen. I don't care if SEMO's quarterback is the size of Shaq. Like they're not going to stand a chance. It's not going to go well. I don't envision SEMO's offensive line being this unmovable object. And, Bobby Terrell and Zamir Hawk and Bryson Lamb, they're going to eat, man. They're going to eat. And that's before talking about the blitz packages that Bob will have dialed up.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be a bloodbath on defense. The only way that this is going to stay a game is if the offense doesn't hold up their end of the bargain. And that's kind of cliche, but for Iowa State this year, that is where the money is going to be made. We're going to reference it more so in these next 3 games because those are this is really SEMO is kind of the warm up. The next 3 games after that is really where Iowa State is going to show whether or not that they're actually going to be competitive this year. Just as a little spoiler, I don't think Iowa State's going to win like 8 games or 9 games, but can they be competitive? Can they have a winning record? Can they make a bowl game? That remains to be seen, but I think there's potential for that there. So in terms, for me, I obviously think Iowa State wins. I don't think they'll put up 40 plus as much as I would love that. I'm going to go, I only got SEMO scoring 7 because I just love what our defense is bringing. I'm going to go 34-7. 34-7 Cyclones. I think Jalen Raynor finds a groove. I think Aiden Flores scores a couple times. I think my guy, Cody Jackson, gets his first career touchdown reception for the Cyclones and kind of cements or plants his flag as a potential wide receiver 1 for this team. So I couldn't be more excited for the Jimmy Rogers era to start in Jack Trice Stadium. When's the last time, speaking of which, the Iowa State started on the road? Do you know? I think they've opened every single year at home for a while.
Yeah, I can't remember last time they started on the road.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
if you could technically count the week 0 game in Ireland
Yeah.
last year as a
Yeah.
road, it was a road game. It was a home
That
game
was a
for
road
Jake.
game. That's true. Yeah. So I guess last year, but a true road game, I can't really think of one. So, anyways, I think we're both in lockstep there that Iowa State's gonna kind of roll over SEMO. That leads into potentially the game of the year for Iowa and Iowa State's schedule. Uh, you talk about the Cyhawk being Iowa and Iowa State's Super Bowl for each other. You can clown about that all you want as an Iowa fan or an Iowa State fan. If you look at Iowa and Iowa State's schedule, it very well could be one of the most important games for both of them this season. I was looking at Iowa's schedule the other day, and I just pulled it up. I don't know. It's a little bonus take, if you will. I don't know how many games Iowa's going to win this year, Owen. I don't. And that is why the Iowa State game is so important. Because let me just read, because we're doing the Iowa State schedule, so we're not really going to have a lot of time to touch on this. But let me just read you Iowa's schedule. And the reason I'm doing that, and the reason I say it could be one of the most important games for Iowa and Iowa State, I mean in terms of like a close game down to the wire, like, fourth quarter magic type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Iowa opens with Northern Illinois, then plays Iowa State. Then they play Northern Iowa at home. You want to know their next 3 games?
Oh, I know their next 3 games.
At Michigan, home against Ohio State, at Washington. So then you got a bye week, and it's like, okay, like maybe we'll be okay. At Minnesota, which is no gimme if you're an Iowa fan. Like, please. Wisconsin at home. Who knows what Wisconsin is going to be? That's always a really weird game with 2 of the worst offenses in the country.
Yeah.
At Northwestern, it should be a win. Purdue at home, it should be a win. And then at Illinois and home for Nebraska. I know Iowa fans are excited because they've beaten Nebraska 15 years in a row. Any given year, that's not a gimme. Especially when it's a new season with new expectations. Matt Rule in year 3 at schools or year 4 at schools, do you know what he does? He loses 2 games or less and goes to the conference championship game. I'm not saying he's going to go to the conference championship game at Nebraska this year because the Big Ten is not the Big 12 where he was at Baylor. But Nebraska is supposed to be really good this year. Oh, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 5 or 6 potential losses before we talk about Iowa State.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from a game time clutch standpoint, that's not even my take, by the way. That's the bonus thing. This could be one of the most important games for both squads going throughout the season in terms of what it's going to mean for the trajectory of their season. With that being said, I teed it up for you. Predict Cyhawk game 2026.
Yeah, well, I think, and I was actually going to make a pretty similar point to you there. This game, I could argue has more importance in play on Iowa season than it does Iowa State's, and I say that because of what AJ just relayed to us. Their schedule is brutal. The first, I mean, guys, they could start 0-3 in conference play. They really could, and I'll get more into detail here, but if Iowa loses to Iowa State this year, that's going to derail Iowa's season. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it and play devil's advocate. It's going to derail the season because I mean, you have Iowa. They don't know who their quarterback is. They have no idea who their quarterback is.
I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that.
And just quick recap of Iowa's season last year: 9-4 in 2025. Kirk Ferentz on his 65th year of coaching. They lost 20 plus starters. Guys, Iowa lost a lot of starters. A lot of experience from last year's team. QB situation up for grabs. Hank Brown, Jeremy Hecklinski, nobody knows. Nobody knows. The majority of transfers that they brought in to replace the guys they lost were from the FCS. And if you look historically in the state of Iowa, which team is better at developing FCS transfers? It's Iowa State, and it really isn't close. If you look at Jaden Higgins from Eastern, I mean, it's Iowa State, Matt Campbell. No one did it better than developing FCS transfers, mid 3-star high school kids, and Iowa develops well, but they develop well from the ground up, from their really good recruiting classes,
Yep.
4 or 5-star prospects, all that stuff. Um, but you look at Iowa football over the past 5 years. What has made them good? Why have they won 8, 9, 10 games a year? Well, they have a really good offensive and defensive line. They have a really good special teams. Iowa lost 3 of their best offensive linemen from last year. They lost pretty much every defensive lineman. That's been after looking at Iowa boards and all that stuff and listening to Iowa fans. Defensive line was a huge concern in their spring showcase, and so was special teams. You lose your kicker, you lose Caden Weegan, who was a great punt returner and kick returner against bad teams. You lose LeVar Woods to Michigan State, a sleeper team. Here's my bonus take: Michigan State is going to finish in the top 5 in the Big Ten this year. Sleeper team right there for the Big Ten. But circling back to Iowa, they're experienced at the running back position. They have, I can't remember his name, but they brought the coach from Colorado State over. And I think he's had an Iowa alum or had some history with Iowa, so familiar face. I do think the running backs will be pretty good. Receivers, everyone's been talking about this Tony Diaz, boogeyman or whatever his name is, some 5'11" transfer from UT Rio Grande or whatever. I have no clue, but
He might be out, Owen.
is
be out.
he? I know. I don't think he was in the spring showcase. I did hear he
There
was.
is
I
there,
thought he was fine now, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything from their fall
about
camp.
a couple weeks ago. I saw a tweet that said there's growing concern that he might not be on the roster.
So that leads us, and there was another guy. There was another receiver too who was out. I don't know if he transferred or if he just left the team. I can't remember his name, but there was another another receiver who they
I
lost.
I thought it was Diaz. I'm trying to look.
No, I think it was a different guy.
It was a
But
different guy.
Reese Vanderzee is their best receiver. He's good, and he's definitely wide receiver 1 for him. DJ Vanami, the freshman tight end last year, he showed sparks throughout the season. So those two will definitely be the top targets for Iowa this season. But if you don't have someone who could throw to him, if you don't have a good QB or an established system with trust and confidence and connections, then it's meaningless. And you have young offensive linemen. I mean, they have two really good offensive linemen. I think Cade Piper or whatever his name was, and there's another guy too. I can't remember his name, but other than that, that's still three fairly new, fresh offensive linemen. And obviously, like I said, the defensive line is young. They lost their best couple linebackers from last year. They lost Xavier Wampa. It's really something you have to take into consideration. Even when you look at Iowa State and you like Iowa fans like, oh, you lost your entire team, you lost your entire coaching staff. Well, ultimately, one of the biggest factors is it comes down to experience. Which team has more experience, which team is going to be more confident, more ready, and have a bigger, better, and bolder will to win the game in the second weekend of September. That's what it's going to come down to. And I think the situation for both teams, it's just pure cinema, like you said. like as AJ said, it's absolute cinema.
Under the
Under the
lights.
lights, NBC primetime, and this game is gonna be great. It's gonna be your classic, typical, dirty, down in the trenches, nitty gritty Cyhawk game. And working my way to my prediction for this game here. I just want to make one more point. If Jimmy Rogers wins this game, it's going to be awesome. If he wins this game, like he almost did when his South Dakota State Jackrabbits went to Kinnick Stadium in 2022.
Yep.
If he does complete the win, we're gonna forget about the last guy pretty quickly.
Oh, dude.
He's going to be
Dude.
he's not going to be in the rearview mirror. He's going to be 50 miles back.
You are teeing me up so well.
And this football season it has a whole new trajectory if you win this game. I believe the line was, I don't know, 15, 16, somewhere in the teens for this game. And I saw that and I'm like, I'm taking the points. I'm taking the points.
Yeah.
My prediction, Iowa 17, Iowa State 10. I do not think.
After all that?
Here's what it comes down to for me. Now I am playing devil's advocate here.
I can't even look at you right now. I can't.
Iowa, the offensive line for Iowa, I did say this, offensive line for Iowa has more strength, has more certainty than it does for Iowa State. Defensive line, not sure. But when it comes down to it, the run game, the offensive line, I think Iowa State could have trouble stopping it. I really do. And you look at the pass game. If they do know who their QB is, and if they are confident in him, if they are confident in their QB, and he is, whoever it is playing well, whether it's Hecklinski or Brown, I think the pass game to Vanderzee, Vonneman, I think it's going to be there for Iowa. And we've hit on the offensive struggles for Iowa State, and Phil Parker always has a good defense. Obviously, defensive line might take a step back, but they did return guys in the secondary. Jade Montgomery at linebacker, Cam Buffington, all guys who they're very high on, very confident on. I do think that defense, that 4-3 schematic defense could cause issues for Iowa State's pro-style offense in some ways. But it's been 4 years since Iowa's beaten Iowa State. And circling back around to my point of how important this game is to Iowa, to their schedule, staring down the barrel of a loaded 12 gauge with those first 3 games, this is a must-win game for Iowa. And they know that. Kirk Ferentz knows that. And they're going to bring their A game. And year 1, Jimmy Rogers, I think it'll be close. Like I said, 17-10, low-scoring game. I don't think they'll come out of Kenneck with a win. If they do, I'm wrong. And that's great. We're partying all night if they do. But that's what I have for that. Sometimes you got to see it how you think you're going to see it, how other people think it's going to be seen. Sometimes you have to be humble. You have to be willing to agree to something or say something or give a take on something, even though it's not what you want, even though it's not what you like. Because that's a really important thing that you have to be able to do in life in order if you want to get far, if you want to be respected, and if you want to be respected in the sports world, in the sports realm, you have to see it how it is sometimes. And I don't think Iowa State has what it takes to beat Iowa this year. Prove me wrong, Jimmy Rogers, but I'm just saying it how I see it. So.
Very, very motivational speech there at the end. That's really got me going there about the sports world, and gotta be respected in the sports world. Owen, one thing that's funny about the sport of football, as opposed to other sports, is some positions are very important. You think a punter. Iowa loves their punters, right? Like one of the most important positions on the field. Can flip the field, can pen teams deep, can create safeties. Iowa fans love safeties. Another important position is a good center. If you have a good center, they get the ball back to the quarterback quick. They fire off and they pancake people. Jason Kelsey, a phenomenal center in NFL history. Great personality. I mean, those are great. You think about a cornerback. If you have a lockdown cornerback, like what does that mean? And Iowa loves their defense. What's another important position, Owen? a position that Peyton Manning has called the hardest position in sports. It's playing quarterback in football. It's being a high-level Power 4 college football quarterback. And I got to be honest with you, Owen, I would love to agree with you. Well, I wouldn't love it, but obviously I don't want to predict Iowa to win. But I can see all of your points. And I am so close to being right there with you. And then I open up X, and I'm perusing through X, and it's mainly a Cyclone algorithm, and so you don't see a lot of Hawkeye stuff. And I'm seeing Iowa beat reporters reporting about camp and about Kirk Ferentz and posting videos of Iowa football's done this whole behind the scenes thing now for spring practices, and it's been really cool. And you know what I see, Owen? I see multiple tweets about a quarterback position and a quarterback battle that is not only undecided, there's no answer. There's no answer. And Kirk Ferentz is quoted at Big Ten Media Days or some other press conference, I can't remember what it was, as saying it's going to go into the season. Now a naive football fan would say, AJ, maybe they got two great quarterbacks. Maybe they don't know which direction to go to. Maybe they're both so good, Iowa wants to see them play. And Iowa wants to see them both play against Northern Illinois and see how much they win by. And then a knowledgeable football fan steps in. And they say, let me scroll back to the last time Iowa had a good quarterback. Because I'm sorry, Hawkeye fans, I don't want to hear about Mark Gronowski.
It's got a good point.
I don't want to hear about C.J. Beathard. I don't want to hear about anybody else in the last decade. The best quarterback Iowa's had most recently is Ricky Stanzi. Do you know how long ago that was, Owen?
Long time ago.
It was when Iowa was ranked in the top 5. They were ranked in the top 5. And perennial national championship contender. And they had a great team. They didn't end up doing anything with it, but they had a great team. So when I hear that Iowa doesn't have a quarterback position, that they don't have anybody to play that position, they don't have a clear QB1, I don't think, man, they must have a lot of great quarterbacks. I think, how bad are their quarterbacks? How bad is it in Iowa City? Because the defense is phenomenal. It's always going to be phenomenal. It always gives me fits. It always frustrates me. It always makes me pull my hair out every time Iowa State plays them. Because Phil Parker is a magician. I agree with that. One of the compliments I will always give Iowa is they are always locked down defensively. It ain't going to matter if you don't got a quarterback. To your point, it's not going to matter if you don't have anyone to throw to Reese Vanderzee, to throw to Tony Diaz. Kamari Moulton and whoever the other guy is, I'm forgetting his name. And Iowa's
Williams, maybe.
Yeah, Williams. Great running backs for Iowa. It doesn't matter. You can't run the ball 50 times. You tried it 2 years ago, and Iowa State came back and won.
The 2024 game. Oh, they ran all over our defense.
They doggone gave Caleb Johnson the ball 50 times. I mean, he ran all over, and they still lost.
Yeah.
They still lost. So, what's my point? My point is this. As much as I am ready to jump on your side of this, Owen, and be like, going to be a tough game for Jimmy Rogers. Going to be a nice, smack in the face. With how talented Iowa State's defense is, and with what I already know about what they're going to do to teams, even though they may not do it in the same way to Iowa, with how much I believe in David Coffey and Drew Surgis and Deron Goodman to
Matt
go
McClain.
make plays in the secondary.
There's a name for you guys, Matt McClain. Potential breakout candidate for safety, Iowa State. I'm
not going to sit here as a Cyclone fan. And I respect what you're doing. I do. I respect your take about, Iowa's offensive line is going to eat them alive. And that very well could happen. I can't, in good conscience, sit here as a Cyclone fan against an arch rival we haven't lost to since Joe Biden was president and sit here and say Iowa State is going to be in a rough game with Iowa. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a cinematic game, as we mentioned, under the lights in Kinnick. It's going to be a big moment to see if Jalen Raynor can be a Seneca Wallace-type playmaker or if he's just going to fold under the pressure. And I think it's going to be a game where, not spoiler alert, but take about the game. Here's my take. Fourth quarter, Iowa State up 3 or whatever it is. And whoever Iowa's quarterback is, because they can't decide who they're gonna play, because it's only the second game of the season, throws a game-sealing pick to, you guessed it, budding superstar David Coffey. And Iowa State, on September 12th, walks into Kinnick Stadium with Jimmy Rogers, former South Dakota State Jackrabbit, who almost beat him when Iowa was shut out by lowly South Dakota State on offense. And won because they had a bunch of field goals and a safety and blah, 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 blah. I think it was a defensive touchdown that helped them win that game. And then Jimmy Rogers steps into the spotlight in Kinnick Stadium in the midst of one of the most hostile crowds that has ever existed in college sports. Guys, I've been to a Hawkeye game. I was 11 years old. I went with a bunch of Hawkeye fans. I ended up losing that game, by the way, which I chuckled to myself to this day about. But they are as worse as it sounds and looks. I've had grandparents go to Hawkeye games at Kinnick Stadium and get called every name in the book before they even enter Kinnick because they're wearing Cyclone stuff. It's bad.
Hostile.
Jimmy Rogers, Jalen Raynor, Bobby Terrell step into that spotlight and say, hold on a second. I don't care Matt Campbell's gone. I don't care Rocco Beck's wearing a white helmet and fold under the pressure at Beaver Stadium. We are here to remind everybody that it's still a Cyclone state. Now you might say, oh, AJ, you're being biased, and I might be. But all I know is that Iowa State came to win, and they came to win now. Will they win the rest of their games? I don't think so. We're going to talk about that. They're not going to win many games this year. But they're winning this one. Iowa State 20, Iowa 17. You guessed it, another 3-point victory. I don't think it'll come down to a last-second field goal, but I do think it'll be Kyle Conrarty at some point early in the fourth quarter, putting Iowa State ahead for good before David Coffey shuts the doors. Kirk Ferentz, Iowa Hawkeyes, Kinnick Stadium, whatever you want to say about we're better and Iowa State's an FCS team. When Iowa State wins again this year, just know you can't run. You can't run anymore. You can't run and hide and say, oh, well, we knew we didn't have a quarterback anyways. Nope. Face the music. Face the music and recognize this is Kirk Ferentz's last year in Kinnick, last year in Iowa City, and it's a Cyclone State moving forward because Jimmy Rogers has just got here. And he is moving on and moving forward with another win for Iowa State in the Cyhawk Trophy and Cyhawk win 5 years in a row for the Cyclones. Book it.
Alrighty, not a bad take at all. That was well said. And circling back to my prediction here, it would not surprise me if Iowa State won because, like I said, it is a fact that Iowa State does have more Power 4 experience on their team than Iowa does, especially at the quarterback position. So definitely something to keep an eye on. But yeah, if Iowa State, like I said, if Iowa State wins, it's going to be crazy in Ames. It really is, and it's a tone setter. It's a potential tone setter for Jimmy Rogers in year one, and yeah, I think me and AJ both had really good takes in this game. Obviously, different outcomes, but you know, at the end of the day, we're here to talk everything Cardinal and Gold and break down Iowa State's schedule for this year. So yeah, I think unless you have anything else, any other emotions or anything you want to get on Iowa fans.
Well, just a little PSA to any Cyclone fans attending the game. If you are going to Kinnick, first of all, I'm praying for your safety. When Iowa State wins, not if, when Iowa State wins in Kinnick, it's going to be late at night. Run. Get in your car and go. Because there is no rhyme or reason to Hawkeye fans that are in Kinnick. There is no rhyme or reason to people that are in Iowa City. Owen, I know we were talking about off camera that you're from there. I'm sure there's some well-meaning people there. They will not be surrounding Kinnick Stadium. And
If I went there,
they
if I went
be
to
in
the
the end
game and we won, I would not be able to stop myself from chirping, and I would probably
Oh,
the next morning I would probably be in a warehouse tied up, blindfolded,
yeah,
or something like that.
yeah.
So
Or end
yeah,
up in the hospital. You'll probably end
yeah,
up in the hospital.
yeah. But
Uh,
no,
yeah,
get out of there. If Iowa State does win, you're not safe in Cardinal and Gold because those fans are hostile. These are fans that throw water bottles onto the game when their other team. I mean, Xavier Hutchinson made Riley Moss his little brother. There was I like you could see it on TV. They were throwing stuff at Xavier Hutchinson, and then
yep,
with Oregon last year, they were throwing stuff at the players.
yep.
Just very unclassy, very unsportsmanship like behavior from Iowa fans. Not surprising though. They want to wave at sick kids and then do stuff like that and act like and play the victim.
It
Oh,
is.
they were taunting us or whatever. No,
It's
you have
sick.
to
Yeah.
you have to
It,
conduct
it's
yourself with class and live up to what you believe in, which is honesty, which is respect, which is A+ conduct and behavior there. If you're gonna do stuff like the wave, and you just
no,
can't do that in response.
it's a great point. Like it, and I know we got to move on to Bowling Green in Utah, but like if you're gonna have a great tradition like the wave, where you are waving to kids that are maybe dying of cancer in a hospital room, don't you dare turn around. I know we're not like a moral show or talking about morality or anything like this, but this needs to be said. Don't you dare turn around and act the way that most Hawkeye fans act in Kinnick Stadium and pretend like that no one can make fun of the wave. And like, oh, you're picking on sick kids. No, you're the one who's the hypocrite. Because you're waving to kids and you're saying it's one of the greatest traditions in college sports, and maybe it is. One of the reasons I don't believe it is because I've seen how those people act after the wave. I've seen how those people act in the moments after the wave. And it's not great. And not only is it not great, it is wicked.
How you conduct yourself when you're winning versus how you conduct yourself when you're losing tells a lot about a person.
Yeah. Yeah. It is rough. It is rough. But we got to move on. So I got Iowa State going into the Bowling Green game 2-0. You got them going into the Bowling Green game 1-1. I would love to say this is going to be the same as the SEMO game, Owen. I'll go first on this one so that you can kind of gather your whatever other stats you might have for Bowling Green. But this is the definition of a trap game. The definition.
Plenty of those under Matt Campbell. Plenty of those.
Yes. And trap games don't just exist for good teams, guys. I don't think Iowa State's going to be a great team this year. I think they're going to be very average. Trap games still exist for those types of teams. And when you got Utah looming in the second biggest game at that point in Jimmy Rogers' Iowa State career, because Iowa will be the first, you can easily look over Bowling Green. Now, one person that won't be is Cameron Petaway. I know he will not be overlooking that game whatsoever. He wants to run somebody over. Like he is ready to throw hands.
Got some bones
but everybody else,
Eddie George.
Yes. Is it Eddie George now? I thought he was at Middle Tennessee State still. Is he at Bowling Green now?
Yeah, he's at this is the second year of Bowling Green.
That's hilarious. That adds so much to it. That's great. So this is very much a trap game for the Cyclones, and I think crazy as it sounds, I think Jalen Rayner is going to struggle in this game. I think with my schedule prediction so far, he's going to be coming off such a high from the Iowa game. I think he's going to play down to Bowling Green. All respect to Bowling Green, but they're not an upper level Power 4 team.
They're going in there with nothing to lose, right?
Nothing to lose. And those are the types of games that get weird. Shall I remind us of the Louisiana game when Iowa State was supposed to be this college football playoff team and lost by 2 touchdowns at home? It's not pretty. It's happened before, can happen again. You mentioned UNI before. Like, all due respect to UNI, they're also a lowly program in the FCS, and Iowa State's lost to them multiple times.
These G5 and FCS programs, these are the biggest games they'll play all year. This is their only chance to get on the national stage or national relevance. So, of course, they're going to play their A game. They're going to play the best game of the year.
Right. So, I do have Iowa State winning. I do not have them winning comfortably. Which I hate saying because I know what that is going to mean for my psyche that day. Is I'm going to be ready to sit down on my couch and watch the Cyclones just pull out another easy win. And in the fourth quarter, similar to Jalen Raynor at Arkansas State last year when Iowa State went to Jonesboro. In the fourth quarter of that game, where it is way closer than it should be, that's how the Bowling Green game's going to go. I do think it will be one Aiden Flora showing us that he is the true RB1 for the Cyclones, making a play in the second half, busting a long run. I think Kyle Conradi will continue to prove his worth. And then I think, honestly, a guy like Ethan Gunter, the new punter for Iowa State, flipping the field, giving field position, will provide Iowa State with a defense that can hold the line, bend not break, and get the Cyclones out there with a victory. So I do have Iowa State winning. I don't have them winning comfortably. I do see the defense oddly kind of allowing a little bit more than they should. You know, the Jesse Bobbitt thing more recently, if as we've heard, is give up 14 points a game. I think Iowa State wins 28-24. Like I do not see this being a walk-away game. I see this being a game where Bowling Green keeps it very interesting for a while. But I do have Iowa State winning by a landslide.
Yeah, no, definitely a trap game. Not a bold take at all there. I don't see this game as much of a trap game that as AJ does. But just for a little rundown here, Bowling Green went 4-8 in 2025. Very young, like we mentioned earlier, coached by Eddie George. Averaged 20 points a game, but only gave up 24 points per game. So the defense is certainly something to keep an eye on. Run heavy team, but also quite balanced. You know, they have a lot of different options for QB, so they might still kind of be shifting from point A to point B. You know, who's their quarterback going to be? Who's going to be throwing the ball around? So you never know. Could get a young guy who gets his first big shot and he comes out and plays like Lamar Jackson or whatever. We've seen that against Iowa State before. But yeah, I think it's going to be – it won't be a 4-point game, 4-point win for Iowa State. It won't be that close, like I said. I think the final score will be Iowa State 27, Bowling Green 17. So a 10-point win for Iowa State. Like AJ said, I do think the defense bends, but they don't break. But they bend a lot. They bend very far and give up a couple touchdowns and a field goal. But – I do think the offense gradually throughout the game will find their rhythm and remember who they are, remember that they need to win this game. And I don't know, it could be the complete opposite, because if Jimmy Rogers is this, his attitude is what we believe it is, his mentality, the way he talks, the way he wants to approach this football program of, we don't screw around. We get straight to the point. We get down to business. Kind of unlike Matt Campbell, where you go into Jonesboro and Arkansas State and you come off that win against Iowa, and you have a trap game, you have a fluke game. You play down. It's it's iffy at times. It could be the complete opposite with Jimmy Rogers and just the way he has his team mentally prepared. Even though if Iowa State does beat Iowa, Jalen Raynor's coming off that high, and all these players, they're all hyped and excited, and they're looking like, okay, we can beat a top 25 team, we can beat Iowa, we can beat Utah, we can beat BYU. But if he has this team's mindset, if he has this team gathered correctly, I definitely think it could be more of a blowout game. But just because of looking back on history and just the football side of things, teams do trend to have that kind of off game, coming off a big win like that. So like I said, 10-point win for Iowa State going into Utah.
Yeah. No, I could totally see that happening too. It's a very weird spot and a weird game for where it's placed. That leads us into the ultimate test for Iowa State to this point in the first quarter of the season. Reminder, we'll be doing the next 4 games on Saturday and the final 4 games next Wednesday. Home against Utah. So it's in Jack Trice Stadium. You're welcoming in one of the favorites to win the Big 12. They will have come off games against Idaho, Arkansas State, and Utah State all at home. So this will be their first road test.
And those are some tests too for them. Those are some tests too. Those aren't necessarily gimmies.
Yeah, Utah State is sneaky, and Arkansas, they play in the SEC, and they're usually beaten up by the SEC, but that doesn't mean they're a bad team.
So, it was Arkansas. I thought you said Arkansas State. Was it
No,
Arkansas?
Arkansas. They're
Oh,
playing
okay.
Arkansas.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's where I think it gets tricky for Iowa State is Devin Dampier. I think he's a really good quarterback, guys.
Yeah.
He gives me a lot of vibes of all the quarterbacks I've loved watching growing up. And, you mentioned Lamar Jackson, and I think about Lamar Jackson's, Heisman highlight tape at Louisville, and even a Deshaun Watson at Clemson, and that type of ability and that type of playmaking. Dampier's got that in spades. I'm not going to say he's as good as those guys that I just mentioned because they're Heisman Trophy winners, but Dampier is sneaky. He's slippery. He's quick. He's got a cannon. I mean, he's got it all. And as much as I love Iowa State's defense, they will not face a guy like that. I know Barrett Bachmeier is supposed to be this next best thing for BYU. Maybe sneaky hot take. I think Dampier's better. I think Dampier's a better quarterback than Bachmeier.
He is, yeah.
He's a better quarterback than whoever is quarterback for Texas Tech this year. Like, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12.
He is the best. In my mind, he's the best quarterback in the Big 12.
Yeah, and so...
And I'll get to him in a sec when I do my prediction.
Yeah. That guy coming into Ames is not going to bode well for anybody going to that game. If you've already bought tickets, I'm sorry. If you haven't bought tickets yet, maybe don't buy tickets for the Utah game. I think it's going to get ugly really quick. It's going to be a slap in the face.
No, we still want Cyclone Nation to show up. We still need, even in the losses, we want to promote ticket sales.
Correct.
Sales.
I was saying for those that haven't bought a ticket to a game yet, if they're choosing only one game to go to this year, maybe not the Utah game. Because that's typically what I would do, being farther away, like only go to one game a year, whatever. I think the defense gets slapped in the face. I think that this gets ugly quickly. I would love to say Iowa State keeps it close. But let's be honest, guys. I don't care if Kyle Whittingham's not there anymore. I don't care if they got a new head coach. I think they're out to prove something. Yeah. And as much as I hate how pompous Utah fans are about how important they are to the Big 12 and blah, 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 they got a good football team this year. Like, they got a really good football team. And it goes beyond Dampier. I mean, if you look at their wide receivers, they got two seniors starting, a junior starting at running back. They're very experienced.
I think with Bernard's a running back, right?
Wayshawn Parker's the running back.
Parker.
Yeah. So I mean, they got a lot of guys that can make plays, and a lot of guys that have been around the block.
Yeah.
And so
they've had so many offensive weapons in the past 5-6 years. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say, I mean, Iowa State's gonna lose. I'm gonna say, I think we'll be lucky to score 17. I'm just gonna go 34-17. I think Utah's really good, and I think they deserve everything that is coming their way in a positive way because they've earned it, and they're out to prove something after everyone said, "Oh, Whittingham's left." I think outside the Big 12, everyone said, "Oh, Whittingham's left. Utah's not good anymore." I think they're going to prove people wrong in a big way and use Iowa State as a pinata.
They stayed in the house with Morgan Scaley, first year head coach, but previously defensive coordinator, safeties coach, so knows the system. Was able to retain Devin Dampier and some other guys. Kyle Whittingham took some tight ends and guys from Utah over to Michigan. But when you do have in college football, example Iowa State, if they did hire Taylor Mauser, you're going to have guys coming back from that staff just because of the familiarity with Taylor Mauser and stuff like that. But they went 11-2 last year. I mean, they were in really close contention for the Big 12. I thought they'd actually make the playoffs, but they didn't. I think they were definitely capable of beating Nebraska in the bowl game. They averaged 43 points a game last year, which is a lot. I remember one game that stood out to me last year was when they hosted Kansas State. Kansas State played the best game of the year against them. I mean, they were. I think the running back was Jackson or something. He was just going off, rushed for hundreds of yards. Avery Johnson was having a great game. The defense was holding up, like they were going punch for punch with them. And then Kansas State just Utah's offense, they couldn't stop them. Like they ran out of gas. The Kansas State defense ran out of gas. Devin Dampier, he's clutch. When I think of clutch, in clutch time, in moments when the team needs him most, he shows up. And he threw for 24 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, over 2,500 yards last year. I didn't catch his rushing stats, but he's a running QB. He can scramble out of the pocket and do that.
I can pull it up.
So, and you look at last year as well. I think I don't know if their backup is there this year, but I do remember them running a lot of design QB runs. QB powers, QB motion ISOs, all that stuff. And I do agree with AJ. Go ahead.
146 rushing attempts for 911 yards.
Jeez. Yeah. So he almost had as many yards.
10 touchdowns.
So this, he's a veteran. He brings experience. He brings, he carries a weight of the team from a responsibility standpoint. So like I said, regardless of who Kyle Whittingham took from Utah to Michigan, they're always going to have talent. They're always going to have really good skill guys, skill position players and whatnot. I think Utah wins 24-10. I think it's kind of a low scoring game. I might even say 31-10, 31-13. I think Utah jumps on top of Iowa State early, and I think Iowa State kind of gains momentum and leverage, towards the fourth quarter, but it's just too little, too late. They don't have enough gas in the tank to come back, and Iowa State is now 2-2 on the season in my book, going into the West Virginia game, which is where we will pick up on Saturday.
Yep, absolutely. So I got them at 3-1 going into the West Virginia game. Saturday, we will be previewing the home game against West Virginia, the road game against BYU, the game off a bye at Arizona, and home for Oklahoma State. So a gauntlet, the next 4 games for Iowa State as we continue to preview it. Quick shout out to Tyrese Halliburton. He's going to be playing back in Hilton Coliseum on October 7th. Against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The G League affiliate for the Timberwolves plays in Iowa. And so it was cool for the Pacers and the Timberwolves to link this up for Halliburton to play in Hilton again. He's kind of had a checkered resume with Iowa State. His career didn't end the way he wanted it to. Broke his wrist, What
a great past couple of weeks for him, though. Newly married, and now he gets to come back to Ames. Like, he's coming off injury, fresh start.
Fully healthy.
No better way to have a kind of a new beginning there for Halliburton.
Absolutely. So that'll be an electric atmosphere, I'm sure, in Hilton. Welcoming back Hallie to the Hilton floors for him to put on a show, which I know no doubt he will. So appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, make sure you like and subscribe on our YouTube channel here. Follow us on X and on TikTok. And we will be back on Saturday to continue previewing the Iowa State football schedule for 2026 and 2027. I'm AJ with Cyclone Kingdom.
I'm Owen.